Let me give you a quick story. There was a woman I know. Let's call her Lisa. Lisa used to say yes to everything. She said yes to late night calls, yes to compromise on dates, yes to covering up for people's flaws. She was exhausted, angry, and invisible. One day she decided enough was enough. She started by protecting her Saturday mornings. No meetings, no dating apps, just time for her. She stopped explaining why she couldn't text at 1 a.m. She told one man she wouldn't tolerate being spoken to that way. And when he laughed, she walked. People noticed. Men who used to take her for granted started calling with real plans, not vague texts. Why? Because she stopped being available for disrespect and became available for partnership. Her life didn't shrink, it expanded. That's the power of boundaries. Respect starts where you draw the line, and that truth will change how people treat you faster than any speech or hashtag ever will. Too many women hope respect will arrive as a courtesy, a bonus earned by patience or apologies. And so they keep apologizing for their needs, shrinking to make others comfortable. But respect isn't a favor you receive when you're quiet. It's a standard you set when you speak. Drawing a line is not rude. It's declarative. It tells the room, this is how I move. This is how I show up. If you want in, meet me here. When you consistently honor that line, you stop negotiating your worth and people begin to align their behavior to the boundary you've established. Think about time. If you let everyone interrupt your schedule, they'll assume your day is optional. If you protect a block for the things that matter, work, rest, family, growth, you change how others value you. Men notice that. They respect someone who treats their calendar like a ledger, not a suggestion box. That means not answering every after-hours message, not reshuffling your life for fleeting convenience, and not pretending every crisis is your emergency. When you guard your hours, you teach people to respect your priorities without having to lecture them. Boundaries operate through action more than words. Say what you mean once, then behave in a way that makes the boundary obvious. If you tell someone you won't tolerate disrespect and then accept excuses, your words become smoke. But if you say it, mean it, and step away when it's crossed, your behavior enforces the rule without drama. Consistency is the muscle that grows respect. It's the repeated refusal to let small compromises become your norm. Each preserved standard is a deposit in your dignity account. Over time, the balance shows. Drawing the line also protects your emotional bandwidth. People who haven't learned to respect boundaries will test them. Sometimes gently, sometimes aggressively. That's okay. The line isn't there to punish the tester, it's there to reveal who's willing to step up. If someone balks at a reasonable limit, that tells you more about them than it does about you. Respectful partners will adjust. Disrespectful ones will argue. Choose the person who adjusts. Choosing shows you value yourself more than the temporary comfort of staying in a draining dynamic. Teaching respect is not a one-time event. It's a training process you lead. When someone violates your line, apply the consequence you promised, reschedule the meeting, step out of the conversation, walk away from the date that disrespects your dignity. Do it with calm, not drama. People learn faster from consistent boundaries than from long explanations. And remember, boundaries aren't about control, they're about clarity. You're not trying to manipulate behavior. You're simply making the rules of engagement clear so that relationships can be honest and sustainable. Finally, know this. Drawing a line will cost you some people. And that's a feature, not a flaw. The ones who leave because you insisted on being treated right were never meant to steward your life. The ones who stay will respect you for the very thing that scared others away. Your refusal to be anything less than yourself. Stand firm, speak once, act consistently, and watch the world rearrange itself around the dignity you insist upon. Respect begins where your line is drawn. Everything else is negotiable. One of the strongest boundaries that instantly makes men respect you is the boundary of communication. Too often, people let conversations drift into disrespect because they don't want to be seen as too sensitive or too demanding. But silence in the face of disrespect doesn't earn peace. It earns repetition. When you let someone talk to you any kind of way, when you let sarcasm slide that cuts too deep, when you laugh off comments that sting your spirit, you're teaching them that the boundary doesn't exist. Respect begins when you decide that your voice is not optional. The truth is, people treat your words the way you treat them. If you water down your truth, they'll water down their effort. If you're indirect about your limits, they'll assume you don't have any. Clear communication doesn't mean yelling, nagging, or lecturing. It means calmly, directly stating what is and isn't acceptable. Something as simple as, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way," sets a line that echoes louder than a raised voice. Men respect that kind of clarity because it's steady, not emotional fireworks. It communicates strength, not chaos. The power of communication as a boundary is that it removes excuses. When you've said clearly, "This is how I expect to be spoken to. This is how I expect to be treated," there is no confusion. From that moment on, someone's behavior isn't about misunderstanding, it's about choice. And once it's about choice, you can respond with yours. If they choose to ignore your boundary, you choose to walk away, disengage, or set consequences. That cycle of clarity creates respect because you're not just reacting emotionally, you're operating with intention. But here's the catch. You can't enforce communication boundaries with words alone. You have to live them. If you say you won't tolerate a certain tone, but you keep entertaining conversations in that tone, you're undoing your own work. The respect doesn't come from the statement, it comes from the follow through. Men respect consistency. They respect people whose yes means yes and whose no means no. That's why setting communication boundaries is as much about discipline with yourself as it is about correction of others. Respect also grows when you control how you communicate. Shouting, blaming, and belittling might get attention, but they rarely get respect. Calm, firm communication is a signal of maturity. It says, "I know my worth, and I don't need to scream for you to hear it." When you keep your tone steady, when you don't let disrespect pull you into drama, you show strength that commands attention. Men may test boundaries, but they can't ignore someone who consistently sets the terms of communication with calm authority. At the end of the day, communication boundaries are not about creating conflict. They're about creating clarity. You're not trying to win arguments, you're setting standards. You're showing people that access to your attention, your time, and your energy comes with rules. Once men see that you can't be pulled into chaos or disrespected into silence, they start adjusting. And that adjustment is what respect looks like. No is a complete sentence. And once you start treating it that way, your life gets simpler and your respect goes up. Too many people have been trained to apologize for saying no, to add explanations like, "I'm sorry, but," or "maybe another time." And those softens the boundary until it disappears. Saying no doesn't make you mean, it makes you clear. It tells the room you have priorities, limits, and self-respect, and people respect clarity. When you learn to say no without guilt, you stop negotiating away your peace and start keeping the energy you need for the things that matter. Think about how powerful a simple no can be. When someone asks you to step in last minute and you say, "No, I can't tonight," you're not rejecting the person, you're protecting your calendar. When a partner pushes you into something uncomfortable and you say, "No, that's not acceptable to me," you're teaching them the rules of engagement. No creates boundaries instantly. It short-circuits manipulation and rescues you from resentful yeses that build anger over time. People who respect themselves don't live exhausted. They live intentional. Men notice that. They respect a woman whose integrity shows up in the small choices, including when she refuses. Practically, saying no well takes practice. Start by dropping explanations. You don't owe a long story about why you can't. Keep it short, firm, and polite. "No, I can't," or "No, that won't work for me." If you feel compelled to be kinder, follow with a brief, unconditional statement of courtesy. "No, I can't. Thank you for asking." Then move on. If you add an excuse or a lecture, you invite negotiation. People will probe and push until your no becomes a maybe. Make your no sturdy by delivering it without invitation to debate. Another trick is to pair no with an alternative when you genuinely want to offer one. If someone asks for time you don't have, you can say, "I can't tonight, but I'm free Saturday afternoon." That keeps you generous without giving away your limits. But if you don't have an alternative, don't invent one just to soften the blow. A phantom compromise trains people to expect flexibility that isn't real. Real power is being honest about your capacity. Saying no also requires you to accept the social cost sometimes. Some people will test you, push back, or even get upset. That's okay. Boundaries will cost you some relationships, but that's a mercy. The ones who accept your no and respect it are the people you want in your life anyway. And the ones who resent your limits are showing you that your presence was conditional on availability, not on true respect. That's information, not failure. Finally, protect your internal script. Saying no can trigger guilt because you were raised to people please. Reprogram yourself. No is not selfish when used to guard well-being and values. No is an act of stewardship. You're stewarding your time, your energy, your peace. Practice tiny no's daily so the big ones don't terrify you. Say no to another meeting, another late night text, another favor that drains you. Each practice no makes the next one easier and scales your respect in the eyes of others. When you speak your limits calmly and consistently, men don't resent you, they recalibrate. They respect boundaries because boundaries create predictability, trust, and honesty. Say no cleanly, say it once, and stand by it. And watch how the room begins to move with you rather than against you. Respect multiplies when you set boundaries around communication, especially the way you allow men to speak to you. The truth is, the words people use set the tone of how they see you, and if you don't correct disrespect early, it only grows. Men test boundaries, sometimes without even realizing it, and if you let a slick remark slide or laugh off something that cuts deep, you're silently teaching them that's acceptable. But the moment you draw a line and say, "Don't talk to me like that," or "I don't accept being spoken to in that tone," everything shifts. You're no longer just someone they can say anything to. You're someone they have to approach with care. That's where respect is born. See, men respect clarity. If you let a man call you out of your name, raise his voice, or diminish your ideas without pushback, you've already given him permission to keep doing it. But the minute you stop him and calmly correct it, you reset the terms. That's not weakness, that's strength. And I'll tell you what, respect grows from consistency. It's not about snapping once and then letting it slide the next time. It's about creating a pattern where you reinforce the expectation every single time. People may not like it in the moment, but they'll remember it. And over time, that respect becomes automatic. Think about professional settings too. A lot of women allow themselves to get talked over in meetings, their ideas repeated by someone else. The boundary is to stop that with confidence. You don't have to raise your voice or argue. You simply interject. I wasn't finished. Or, that was exactly the point I made earlier. Let me expand on it. That's a boundary. Men might be taken aback at first, but in the long run, they'll treat you as a peer, not someone they can bulldoze. And outside the office, the same rule applies. If you accept rude tone, sarcasm that belittles, or constant criticism, you've handed away respect piece by piece. When you demand dignity in speech, you set the climate of your environment. Now, here's the key: setting communication boundaries doesn't mean you get aggressive or loud. In fact, the strongest boundary is calm, controlled, and consistent. Anger burns fast, but calm authority lingers. If you tell a man firmly and with composure, I don't allow people to speak to me like that, you give him two choices: adjust or leave. That's not controlling him, that's protecting you. And the men who are worth keeping in your life will adjust gladly, because deep down, even men want someone who holds them accountable to higher standards. The real power is this: boundaries on words shape how you're valued. Words are the building blocks of respect. If you accept careless, cutting, or dismissive words, you'll get careless treatment. If you require thoughtful, kind, and respectful words, that's the energy you'll receive. The boundary you set in communication is not just about stopping disrespect. It's about teaching the world how to approach you. And the men who truly matter will rise to that standard, because respect always follows the person who demands it without apology. Another boundary that instantly makes men respect you is the one around your time. Time is your most valuable resource, and if you don't protect it, people will waste it without a second thought. See, when a man knows he can call you at any hour, show up whenever he feels like it, or expect you to rearrange your plans just to fit his schedule, he learns one thing: you don't value your time. And if you don't value it, why should he? Respect comes when you make it clear that your hours, your schedule, and your priorities matter. Let's be real. Time is life. Every minute you give away is a piece of your future. So if you're letting someone who hasn't earned it take your time, you're essentially handing them pieces of your destiny. That's why boundaries around time aren't selfish, they're essential. When you tell a man, I'm not available tonight, I already have plans, or if you want to see me, let's schedule something in advance, you teach him to be intentional. You show him that you don't live on standby for anyone. And that level of self-respect makes him step up. Men actually admire this, even if they don't admit it out loud. When you protect your time, you create an aura of value. You're not accessible to just anybody at any time. That means when he does get your attention, it feels special. It feels earned. Think about it, we respect what's rare. We value what's not easily available. If you give unlimited access to your time, people start taking it for granted. But if you guard it, they start cherishing it. And this applies to more than just dating or relationships. In the workplace, if you don't set boundaries around your time, you'll find yourself carrying everyone else's load, staying late while others leave, or saying yes to projects that don't even belong to you. When you speak up and say, I can't take that on right now, or I'll get to this within my schedule, you shift the dynamic. People start respecting not only your time, but your worth, because respecting your time is respecting you. Now, here's the truth. Not everyone is going to like your time boundaries at first. Some will call you difficult, selfish, or even accuse you of thinking too highly of yourself. But let me tell you something. People who truly respect you won't mind your boundaries. They'll adjust to them because they see the value in what you're offering. The ones who get mad are usually the ones who are benefiting from your lack of boundaries in the first place. So don't be afraid to protect your time like it's gold. Because it is. When a man sees you won't drop everything for him, he learns he's dealing with someone who values herself. And men respect that. The right ones will honor your time, plan around it, and even rise to meet your standards. The wrong ones will fall away. And that's not a loss, that's a blessing. Boundaries around your time don't push away respect, they demand it. And once you set them, you'll see how quickly men treat you differently because they know they're dealing with someone who knows her worth. At the end of the day, respect isn't something you beg for. It's something you command through the standards you set. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are doors that let the right people in and keep the wrong ones from taking advantage. When you make it clear how you expect to be treated, when you value your voice, your body, your time, your energy, and your peace, people have no choice but to rise to that level or step aside. And let me tell you, the men who are meant to be in your life won't be scared of your boundaries. They'll be drawn to them because they'll recognize your worth. So stop worrying about who might leave when you start honoring yourself, because the truth is, those who truly belong will stay, and they'll respect you more because you respect yourself. Boundaries don't push love away. They filter out the wrong kind and make space for the right one. That's how you earn real respect.